a long asked for feature.
That actually, I have a slightly entertaining tale. A while ago, I had a hard drive crash, and I lost some of the original uniform concepts from I don't know, like 2 or 3 years ago when we were chipping away at it. So for the uniforms, we effectively redid everything, like got everything I had left, and then we went over all the concept art. And when you guys, all there will be a dev blog where I'll show you guys all the uniform stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy looking back because there's been these features that have been like sitting in the wings for, in some cases, literally years.
Hmm.
And we've done various things. We've done concept art. Maybe we even did some early mock-ups in game. And it's just, I feel like between over the last year and now and over the next year, it's finally
Yep.
all coming into place, right? So
Well, I did like over the years, I did like a first pass at some uniform stuff that at that point we had no idea how we were going to implement. Like we didn't know what the impact in the game would be. Then I did another pass, and Anthony modeled up a whole bunch of them just as a test. But at that point, it was like this will give you +5 to shooting, and then we realized like no, we don't want like that. We don't want to boost stats in a arbitrary way like that. And then I had a hard drive crash, and then we finally came back around to yeah, get it up to speed with how we want to implement it in the game.
that's game development. Things don't
Yep,
always go
yep.
according to plan. So, all right, the big update, the building update.
Oh yeah, wait. This is if you need to go to the bathroom, go now because this
You're
is the
overhyping
big
things
thing.
again, Julian.
All right, we'll see in an hour from now. We'll talk about this again.
Cool. So, the building update. First, want to talk about some of the goals that we had. One of the biggest things we've been doing over the last year is since Trench Warfare, we've been collecting a lot of player feedback, right? And I've personally done a lot of this, talking to players, looking at the Reddit threads, and really sifting things down to what the pain points were and making sure that we can address at least many of them in this update. Um, Another thing we really wanted to do was one of the goals that I feel like we didn't quite meet in the original Trench Warfare update was really having more of a creative aspect, right? So um, it was great that you can make the trenches, but but that was the feature. It's like great, you can make them, and there's some things you can do, but in terms of allowing a player who really wants to spend all their time in the game doing this, which there are players that do spend all their time in their game making making bunker bases and trenches. We wanted to give them the tools that they needed to execute on their vision, right? And we want to add some more content with that to help with that, more flexibility. The power mechanics is something that always felt a little bit like a tacked on feature, so we've come back around and added some more features there. And then on top of the past, like addressing player feedback, making what's there better than is now, we're also introducing a new mechanic for building. So one of the things that we've heard from players is like, hey, can you update the building so it's just not always about holding down the left mouse button? And certainly holding down the left mouse button is still there for many of the existing parts of the game, but we want to start a new frontier, right, for building in the game, and this is going to lead to some pretty cool things in the future. And then again, going back to refresh some of the outdated contents, like sorry, Foxhole and Gun Turret, you're gone. um, so let me switch over. This section is going to be only video. So uh,
I think that makes the most sense.
yes.
Yep.
So we're going to start with the pillboxes, which give me a moment here.
But didn't we get rid of pillboxes before? Didn't they used to be in the game?
They're back. So
Yeah.
pillboxes is going to be the replacement for foxholes and gun turrets, and they're going to be the new standard for standalone AI defenses, right? So where you have the bunkers for bunker connected defenses, you have pillboxes for things that you can just build without a bunker base.
These do not connect to a trench system.
No.
They're meant to be placed independently of the trench system.
Yes. And you probably seen this most spoiled feature for the rest of the stream. We are still having foxholes in the game. They're just going to be a
actual real foxhole.
Yes, that you can dig with your trench. Requires a low number of trench digs, and yeah. So we couldn't live with the next tier of everyone making fun of us because the game's called Foxhole and there's no foxholes in the game. So
I'd be making fun of them too. I'd join in the chorus of people laughing.
So it's
with the pillboxes, the idea of the shape, the hex shape, is just for identification reasons. Like if you're looking around with binoculars, if you see a hex, that's an AI defense, basically.
Okay, so
this
onto
feature,
the juicy stuff.
This feature was actually inadvertently leaked a little while ago.
Yeah. So there was an incomplete version of this that we were testing, and it was leaked. But tanks can now drive over trenches instead of destroying them. So
you can hide under. If a tank drives over you, you'll survive. You can sticky grenade if you want from a trench.
So this is a big feature. So we changed all the bunker garrisons to have interiors. So one of the big things about this is that inside, not only can you run around inside them and you don't have this trench that cuts out halfway, you can also have more space to build out your modifications. So all the normal modifications that you can make can now be made in a bunker garrison, including the infrastructure mods, including a firing port. And what this was based on a player feedback that people couldn't build trench lines that extend, that are continuous, right? It was always has to be a broken line.
Isn't that player suggestion infamous at this point? Like it was that huge post.
Oh, there was, yes, and that actually leads into the next one, right? Which is, give me a moment here after this. Yeah, so, this isn't. This is one of the other ones. So infrastructure modifications, they actually now provide gameplay bonuses to nearby bases and defenses, right? So before, if you build it something like a bunk bed, the only thing it was a requirement for you to upgrade the trench, right? I'm actually going to pause here so we have a bit of time to talk.
Yep.
So before, your infrastructure modifications were just a requirement, but now they actually provide bonuses for your base. So as an example, if you make a bunk bed modification, it actually has a chance to not consume a soldier supply when a player spawns, right? So the idea is the more of these bunk beds that you make, the more survivable your base is going to be in terms of consuming soldier supplies. And in the same way, if you build some of the other structures like a strategic map, that means that you get a buff to your nearby intelligence sources, right? So they'll be able to see players slightly further. And we'll get into this more in the dev branch, but essentially these modifications are no longer just there as a requirement. They actually provide a gameplay benefit. So let's continue. So one of the big things that we wanted to was to update the modification system to make the modifications built on a more granular level, because right now you can't really build an airtight defense, right? So the best that you can do is you can try to build a defense where the enemy can't get through, but ultimately there's going to be spots where they can. But we went through every modification on all these trenches and bunkers and made sure that you could build a sealed trench network, and moreover, not just sealed, but a directed trench, right? So as you see here, the sandbag modifications prevent the enemy from shooting out towards your side of the line, right? So even if the enemy can take over this trench, they can't use it against you. They can't even vault out on that side. So there's always this argument in the game right now. Sometimes players feel like maybe trenches shouldn't be built, but now there's no reason why they shouldn't be built. And here with the bridge is an example of what I'm talking about. These modifications actually scale to the barbed wire modification scales so that it just fits in between the bridge, right? So the enemy is not able, like, you're basically able to get every single spot on the trench there. And another big thing, all these modifications work on the trench connectors as well as the normal trenches. So this goes back to the flexibility I was talking about. We want to make sure that if you think you can do it, you should be able to do it. And we looked at, again, every modification and made sure that was there.
Yeah. What about the top of bunker pieces?
Yes. So this was another thing. If you think you can do it, you should be able to do it. So there wasn't any reason why we thought that the sandbags shouldn't be buildable on the bunkers, but we needed a way to get up. We needed a way to get up the bunker, so we added stairs, right? So now you can create these firing positions from the second floor of a bunker. And this goes back to what I talked about with the tactical camera. Because you need to be able to spot players on top now, holding down the control key will allow you to view the top side of a bunker. So you're able to sort of have this combat scenario on both the bottom and the top floor at the same time.
Tripods still work in, like, you can set up a tripod behind your sandbags on top of a bunker as well and go nuts.
Yes.
Oh, the sandbags are tier 2 and 3 only because setting up sandbags on a net didn't make much sense.
So there's another 3 modifications that we have to show. And one of them that's coming up here soon is going to be the ladder, right? So a way for you to get into your trench from when you're on top, right? So we want, again, we want players to be able to build bunkers that we haven't even seen before, right? So here's going to be the ladder modification. I think I was like looking for it when I was making this video, but it allows you to have a ladder into your bunker.
Max would kill us if we didn't point out that you can throw grenades down the hole. So if you're up on top, you can huck any grenade you want into someone else's bunker. Hopefully an enemy's bunker.
And then now we have the interior firing port. So because we expect there to be more space in trenches and there be more combat, we wanted a PvP defensive position inside. So you can make a firing port and you can shoot out of it. And there's one more to go, which is the trench roof, right? So available for the 3rd tier is a covering over your trench, so you can make a tunnel-like network, which provides extra cover for things like indirect fire weapons. And on top of that, I just think it looks really cool.
Yeah.
You can walk through while you're standing. So
yeah, early in development, you could only crouch through it, and every time a new dev tried it out, they were like, "Oh man, why do I have to crouch?" But in the final, you can do it normally.
Okay, let me take a sip of water here.
We've got this. We're halfway through, guys.
Yeah,
halfway through the building stuff. Okay, so we wanted to come back around to power because, like I said, it's something that